Councilmember Trayon White.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I just want to say that it's been a lot of going back and forth about what do we do with some of our most best, brightest, shining stars in academia in Washington, D.C. And over the years, that's been Banneker High School ranking among the top, not just in Washington, D.C., but across the nation. Um, and early on, I knew that there were some issues involving the building in which the students dwelled in every day, from leakages in the, leakages in the ceiling, to rodents, to bugs, and just being too small. And so early I supported that. But I did not know about the issue of going back and forth between two communities. My desire is that we are able to make both communities happy. But in the interim, I'm continuously concerned about us having conversations about racial inequities and equities in the budget when constantly is not reflected when it's time. Politics is the distribution of resources. We are at a $15.5 billion budget, and it's time to put our money where our mouth is. In the last budget cycle, $53 million was removed from Banneker and given to Shaw Middle Schools for Shaw's modernization. Since then, yes, the chairman has restored the money for full modernization for Banneker. And I heard from the students. When I heard from the students, I had to change of heart. Because if I'm in that school in those conditions, it's going to keep me from maximizing my potential. If they're doing that under those circumstances, picture what they can do with a brand new facility. And I won't get into the fight versus Shaw versus Banneker, but that's where we are, you know? And I'm trying to figure out how, as a government, can we make sure that both get it. So today, I will be in favor of not just Chairman Grasso's bill, but in favor of the students who are in school every day, in the building, traveling all across the city, especially a large population of people of color who's been disenfranchised. That's why they have to go across the city just to get a quality education, because we had a divestment of education and closed over 20 schools in the last 12 years. Let's not forget that. And so this is our time to take an active role in making sure the money is there and utilizing our intelligence and skills on this dais, along with the mayor, to ensure that we can create a healthy solution for both communities, because both are needed. So today I will be voting in favor of Councilmember Grasso's amendment and in favor of the children of the District of Columbia. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember White. I'm going to speak up briefly in response and then recognize others in the lineup. The student, part of what I said earlier about a lot of misrepresentation about what's going on, I've heard the students, Council Member, and the students, what I have heard from them is that they see this as their only option, and it's not the only option. The fact of the matter is that for many, many, many years, modernization of Banneker was to be at Euclid. It still is to be at Euclid unless this amendment passes. But what has happened is that for many, many years, in fact, the current mayor is the one who took it out of the capital improvement plan a few years ago. That's where they've been disenfranchised, to use your word. But I also think, because you said this as well, when you talk about students being disenfranchised from their neighborhood schools so they have to go across town, well, first of all, I think students select Banneker because it has a superior academic, it's an application school. But second of all, I don't know how we improve our comprehensive schools if we are going to take Banneker with 500 students and increase it to 800. Where are those students going to come from? Is that the policy of this government? Is that the way our school system is designed, without a plan, that we're going to simply increase the enrollment from 500 to 800 for Banneker because we like Banneker? I don't know how Banneker will handle such an increase. I don't. And even though there are many more applicants than there are slots, it's not because there's a waiting list, because there isn't a waiting list. It's an application school. If we want to improve Anacostia, if we want to improve Ballou, we need to put our resources there. Instead of saying that we're going to spend money for 800 student Banneker, which has never been above 500, never been above 500. So it doesn't speak well of a plan for all of our schools. When you talk about disenfranchisement, this isn't the way to deal with that.
Mr. Chairman.
If we want if we want, in my view, to maintain the quality of Banneker, we ought to get with it the plan that the council has approved for years, which is modernizing Banneker on its site, which students somehow believe isn't going to happen, but this council clearly is committed to it since we keep putting the money back in for that. That's how to help the students and how to help all of the schools in the city. Not voting for this amendment.
Chairman.
Councilmember Allen.
Can I respond to that, Chairman?
No. You can get in line for a second round if you wish.
I sure will.
Councilmember Trayon White.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Chairman. Chairman, you made a remark that schools, specifically east of Anacostia River, and you named a few schools like Ballou and Anacostia, should get more to ensure that they are considered quality schools. On this dais, I introduced a bill called the Sense of the Council Urging Fair and Equitable Funding for Ward 8 Schools Resolution of 2019. Because in Ward 8, we face $10.4 million in cuts. Yet we say this school should get this. Well, we should be funding these schools to get to where they need to be. But the reality is, year after year after year, we're getting less and less. And so we send a notice to the parents that we really don't care about these schools. Yet we say we should be caring about these schools. And so the rhetoric you just gave to me is what we call, and what's the word I want to use? Ebonics, bullshit. Because the schools in our community are getting the short end of the stick time and time again. Yet we say we should be funding this school, we should be doing, it's just rhetoric, man. This bill that I introduced still not funded. While we went up on a per pupil for the spending for the schools, next year, teachers are still going to get cut. Staff is still going to get cut. And the population will shrink each year because we're sending the message that we really don't want the school to have more. And we can't keep giving equal access to everything because we're so far behind. And so kids, the parents of these children want their children to go to a quality school so they can have a chance at life. I had to visit a young man, his family this weekend, 15 years old, who was killed in Ward 8. Had to go visit a hospital with a 9-year-old who was shot in Ward 8. There was another juvenile shot again yesterday. So the rhetoric of what we should be doing and the city should be doing, it's not happening. So the BS got to stop on this dais, man. Thank you.
Councilmember Robert White.